going on, guys? Now, sorry I haven't got a video up lately. It's just been craziness. Whole Christmas season and working on a car that is 20 years old. Besides all that, alright, let's get to the main point. The year of 2014 and gaming. I felt like it was the year of overhype. Complete overhype, lots of letdowns, issues abound. Alright, let's start off with one of the ones I thought was a big letdown was Titanfall. Now, I thought there were some really solid gameplay mechanics. The mechs seemed very cool. And there was just enough there to make it a really good, compelling, competitive shooter. But where they dropped the ball is just the lack of depth. The lack of a real campaign. I mean, it just really seemed like the campaign idea was just pasted on, just slathered on top of multiplayer. I mean, even when you were trying to get into it, you would be stuck in combat and attacked, but while you're trying to look at this little cutscene thing and try to figure out, well, what's the story here? And then a game that popped up right around that was Hawken on Steam. And that was a really cool mech game too. One of those early access games, and supposedly free to play, but you get that whole pay to win aspect of it to unlock stuff faster and rank up quicker. And that held up just as well as I thought. Titanfall even, but at the time, it's come down with what I call the early access, which is basically you paying to be a beta tester. That was the main concept of this year, which just I don't think people look at it and really realize what's going on. Is we're paying for a product that isn't necessarily done, and we're putting the time in to test it and to create it. Now, all right, moving along. I think, in my opinion, the game of the year was Dark Souls 2. And I'll admit maybe that's biased because I just put so many hours into it, it's ridiculous. But I keep finding myself finding new things, coming back to ideas I didn't even realize, lore ideas, stuff I want to dig into. I mean, main issue, the gripes people have with it is, the PvP is weird, hitboxes don't register right, some weapons are just completely overpowered, you just can do certain builds, poison things, and, I mean, a lot of diehard Dark Souls 1 fans, they didn't really care for it. Me, I was a diehard fan of the first one, but yet, even with all the anticipation and hype, I still thought there was enough there and enough was improved on from the first one that it was just a game that was probably the best DLC of all year. I mean, very few DLCs where you can put as much time into them as the actual original game. That's kind of a rare thing to find. With a lot of DLCs are just smack this over this, let's plaster, let's change this color, and 1, 2, 3 guns. All right. So, you would have odds and ends, little games like one big game I thought just blew me away was Endless Legend on Steam for the PC. A great strategy game. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, you'll feel like, wow, they really took ideas from that and put them into a game and did it really solidly. Endless Legend, that is one of my favorites of the year. So, the year progresses, we get all that hype train of E3, and Destiny seemed to be big on, everyone's hype train. And, more so than any other game, I believe. Maybe Shadows of Mordor had a little bit, maybe Halo 5, but Destiny had all this buzz around it. Even with the name Destiny, you think, oh, this is going to be some epic shit. And what that game came down to is Destiny it's empty. It's an empty shell of everything else. Like every other game, it tries to go, well, I want to take that from that game, that from this one, this from Mass Effect, this from idea from story from Dark Souls 2. It just took, it wasn't its own game. It felt like every other game sandwiched into this game called Destiny. I felt like I was playing Borderlands. I felt like I was playing Mass Effect. I felt like I was playing some MMOs. Like and the story was empty. And it was a good game. Don't get me wrong. Destiny is a good game, but the hype train, the name itself, the ideas, I think it was one of the big blunders this year in gaming where, hey, we could have made the DLC free, and that will make up for the shitty, not finished game you got when you paid $60. But they charged $20 for the DLC. I didn't get the DLC. I don't recommend buying it unless you're a die-hard Destiny fan. And then move on. I mean, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. It was a solid game. I mean, actually a solid campaign up to the end, kind of. I mean, a lot of people get into multiplayer. They keep it, there's enough there that it gets that itch that they're familiar with Call of Duty, but it just felt more of the same. Maps seemed really small, and it was just more of a twitched-based shooter, just reflexes, twitch reflexes, and just jumping around, hopping around like a madman. Shadows of Mordor, great single player. The Evil Within, great single player. But yeah, you got these single player games that are limited by not having any co-op or multiplayer aspects to them. I have to say, to me, one of the funnest games of the year was Far Cry 4, a game I was shitting on as soon as the stuff came out about it. The cover art was released, and I was like, this just looks so stupid. But then it really surprised me. The more it got closer and closer to it, I was like, wow, this does seem cool. Like, oh, co-op. So that was some of the craziest fun, just co-op and game of the year. Far Cry 4. And still, there was a little issues with it, but not as nearly epic as any other release day issues. And I mean, there's a bunch of other titles, but nothing really stands out as a great, fantastic game besides a few of these ones I've talked about. It was just a real shallow year and kind of the rinse repeat, and let's keep even with the Battlefield Hardline beta that took good ideas and then just dropped the ball and didn't put it all together. Maybe it will be when it finally gets released, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think was your favorite game of the year. Mine personally is, Dark Souls 2 was great. Far Cry 4 was a blast. Endless Legend on the PC. And other than that, there's a handful of good, single player games. A handful of good multiplayer games, but the hype train, the early access, even with Elder Scrolls Online, you had these, really great looking games, and then, the launches, and it's completely not even close to being done. It's not even close to being ready. So, hopefully this year, 2015, we find companies that, look back and be like, okay, yeah, maybe that might turn people away and quit playing and not want to invest any more money because it feels like we're alienating them, and I don't know. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought was your favorite games, what you didn't like the most. I know probably Destiny is probably number one. But, yeah. Catch you guys later.